What is the best part of the 49ers roster? Where are we strongest? After picking up a load of dudes in free agency and after drafting a bunch of guys, where do we stack up against the rest of the NFL, and which groups within the 49ers locker room are highest rated? If you're new here, I'm Nate, hanging with you and covering all things San Francisco 49ers, and it really helps me out if you hit that subscribe button. Well, today's question of the day, and comment down below, when comparing us against other teams in the NFL, comment below what parts or sections of the roster, I'm missing the word I'm looking for, you think we are number one in. What aspects of the 49ers roster are we better than everybody else? Are we best at QB? Are we best in the wide receiving room? Let me know what you think. I'll be honest with you, before reading this article, my gut was we were the best in the league, or at least really close, in the wide receiving core. That's just how I feel. I mean, we got Deebo Samuel, we have Brandon Ayuk, assuming both of those guys are still around. Then you've added an insane slot receiver. At least we anticipate he's going to be an insane slot receiver. You still have Juwan Jennings, who is a great WR3 and would walk on to just about any team in the NFL, I imagine. So, and not to mention we have depth, and we drafted depth, Cowling. So I don't want to go deep into this because it's not really the subject of today's video, you'll find in a second. But I do feel like our wide receiving core is pretty impressive. And if you had asked me that question before prepping for this video, that's where I would have gone. But I have to admit, I'm not perfect in this area. I'm not perfect in a lot of things. But man, one of my weaknesses, and I think it's true of most sports fans, is I have a hard time being able to look at my favorite team with the perspective that the rest of the country looks at my favorite team. Do you get what I mean? I am biased toward my team. I know my team. That's the team that I'm watching week in and week out. And because of that, I think the things that get me excited, the groups that get me excited, watching Deebo or Ayuk, or Deebo when Ayuk's out, right? Like, just watching those games, it's really easy to look at my team and think, I've got the best wide receiving core in the league, right? Don't you feel like that's easy to do? And sometimes I hear like the national narrative about something and I'm surprised by it. This one, I'm not totally surprised, but a little bit surprised, but also pleasantly surprised. We quietly got great news. I'm going to go through Pro Football Focus's top picks for each position grouping. And this is just awesome. I love this, by the way. I'm a big fan of this. And Pro Football Focus puts so much energy into every single selection that they make and any of the articles they release that it is really exciting to me, because it feels like, I'm sure they're not unbiased either, but it's the most unbiased report I'm going to get about this kind of stuff. So starting off with quarterbacks, Kansas City Chiefs, no big surprise there. Shockingly, the team with the best quarterback in the NFL is also the one with the strongest quarterback room, according to PFF, for sure. I mean, they have Carson Wentz. That was I want to say it was a 1-year free agent pickup coming into the season. And so I can understand why you'd say solid wide receiving room, or solid quarterback room, excuse me. At running back, strongest pick was Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens added Derrick Henry to an already productive room. Pairing Henry with the lightning-fast Keaton Mitchell and the underrated Justice Hill gives Baltimore a diverse backfield to punish opposing defenses, with Henry bulldozing through defensive lines, Mitchell speeding past tacklers, and Hill spelling the future Hall of Famer. Man, I don't want to go deep into this because it's not my team. But the Ravens look really strong this season as it is. If you saw that report talking about strongest and weakest rest days in the schedule, that's not the right way to phrase it, but I think if you've seen the chart, you know what I'm talking about. And the 49ers had the worst one, and the Ravens had the best. Like, how does a top 5 team in the NFL, how do they get that kind of setup? But anyway, moving on to wide receiving core. This one, I've told you on this channel, if you're a longtime subscriber, you know how I feel about this, but Chicago Bears. There are several contenders for the top wide receiver room, but the Bears' offseason moves push them to the top. Of course, they have to prove it on the field. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But the combination of DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and rookie Rome Odunze, who, I'm sure he'll be back from his injury by then, make up a room with multiple skill sets and talents to beat opposing defenses. Moore and Allen ranked 10th and 11th, respectively, in PFF grade in 2023 and should only help each other thrive in 2024. Okay, like I said before, anytime you're rating a wide receiving core and your quarterback is a rookie, I don't like the rating. I get the point. I get it. You had high production out of wide receivers working with a lesser quarterback. At least you think Justin Fields is a lesser quarterback. We'll find out. But I still don't like jumping to this because rookie quarterback is a very, very difficult transition in the NFL for a lot of folks. So I got to see it to believe it. But moving on to tight ends, love this pick. The San Francisco 49ers with the best tight end room, which is an interesting one. I would not have picked this as the best tight end room, but I see the point. Tight end rooms are generally dominated by one player, which is why, by the way, I wouldn't have picked him because they're like, well, we need that big tight end number 2. We need a catching tight end number 2. We saw the Buffalo Bills draft Dalton Kincaid in 2023, adding him to the group that already had a productive tight end in Dawson Knox. What ensued was a significant decrease in targets for Knox as Kincaid took over the top spot, basically saying, because a tight end room where there's only one tight end actually ends up being better overall. All right. The 49ers earned the strongest title because George Kittle is arguably the best tight end in the NFL right now. I get that argument for sure. Travis Kelce is almost 35 years old and still productive, but we saw a decline in his play in 2023. Kittle's 87.7 grade last year was tops in the NFL as he excelled as a receiver and a run blocker. While Kittle will turn 31 in 2024, he's still playing at an extremely high level. I love this good news, by the way. This is positive good news I'm hyped on. I think, going into the draft, we're wondering, are we going to pick up a tight end? Get that, right? The 49ers are trying to figure that problem out, as you can see. Or at least they think they have, right? So I get that. I love this pick, man. And I'm big up on tight end, or on George Kittle. But in my head, I know that I'm biased. And so I know that I'm like, but is it just me? Because I like watching him just be an absolute beast on the field. I don't know. Moving on to offensive line, Detroit Lions get that one. Defensive line, Cleveland Browns get that one. And by the way, on the offensive line, Detroit Lions, that's a wild one considering what they just did with their quarterback and the amount of money they're putting toward him. So they've got a great quarterback in Jared Goff. I'm not sure if he's the level they're paying him, but he's a good quarterback for sure. And if the system works, that he's a great quarterback. And then on top of that, you have a great offensive line. That's a dangerous, dangerous thing. Defensive line, Cleveland Browns. And then linebackers, San Francisco 49ers. Love this as well. The New York Jets and Baltimore Ravens have arguments for the strongest linebacker group, but Fred Warner's star power and Dre Greenlaw's consistency push the 49ers ahead. Warner has emerged as the best linebacker in the NFL over the past few years, as his 90.2 overall grade in 2023 attests to. Greenlaw complements Warner with a strong run defense and coverage skills. The 49ers linebacker unit boasts an 89.7 overall grade over the past 2 seasons, showing the consistency of the two players roaming the middle of the field. Of course, we'll be without Dre Greenlaw for at least a handful of weeks. Probably somewhere around 6 is the most recent thing I've heard. And as I said the other day, I think that this is perfectly set up for the 49ers because Dre Greenlaw can come in and you can get him. You can give him half time. You can give him, half as many snaps. You can get him in there and get him a couple games, almost like a preseason, or you could just get him in full on for a couple games and then he has a guaranteed rest at week 9. I just think that's perfect. If he could be healthy by that point in the season, get out there, get after it, but then have a nice week off, that would be amazing. I'd be super stoked on that. Just to finish it out, cornerbacks, New York Jets, safeties, Baltimore Ravens. Okay. After all of that is said and done, I just want to say I think this is fantastic news because I love the pick coming from as unbiased as possible, let's say, from a national report saying that the 49ers have the best tight end room and the best linebacking core in the NFL. That is fantastic news to me, and I don't know how it didn't blow up bigger. I understand that all of these things are done by humans, and humans, make decisions. I get that 100%. But, man, if you're not feeling optimistic going into this season, if you're down because the schedule looks really tough, Stuff like this should give you just that little bit of jolt of energy to feel positive about the season that is ahead of us. We still have lots of opportunities for players to make big moves during the training camp, during the OTAs. There hopefully some good news comes out, I suppose. And we are obviously hoping that Ricky Pearsall, for example, Cowing maybe, is getting opportunities, getting reps with Brock Purdy to find that jive a little bit and find some rhythm together. So lots of things to look forward to. I'm feeling super optimistic. Big surprise there. Am I right? As always, you know how we end all of our shows. What a time to be alive.